Hello and welcome back to Transfer News Live. I'm here today with Sam from United People's TV to talk all things Manchester United. Sam, how you doing, mate?
Yes, Johnny, I'm doing all right, apart from the fact I've only just found out that you're a City fan.
the big old Haaland shirt
A bit of a
behind me
giveaway, to be honest.
gave it away, did it?
We'll get
You're
over that.
sorely disappointed. You've been done dirty in this
I have been done
conversation, mate. No, mate. Let's get straight into it, mate. There's some big news coming out today with regards to United's need of a striker. Laurie Whitwell of The Athletic suggesting that you've narrowed it down to Šeško and Ollie Watkins. Got to be an upgrade on Nicholas Jackson and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, considering they were your alternatives prior to this news. But who do you prefer out of the two, and which one do you see being a likely candidate for United to actually acquire?
I've just been speaking about this with the team as well. If you had told any United fan before the summer that we would have got Cunha and Mbeumo and the striker that we'd be linked with would be Watkins or Sesko, you'd be like, you would have bitten the hand off, because it just seemed unreachable for United. Basically, well, first of all, because we finished 15th, but because of our finances. So I'd be fine with either. Seriously, I think it'd be class to get either. But I think for me, I'll go Watkins. Simply for... Look, I think Sesko, look, you've got the higher price, you've got the higher ceiling, but Watkins is like 2 to 3 years, I would say guaranteed 15 to 20 Premier League goals. He's not a long-term prospect. You wouldn't really have a resale value, but if you got a striker in for 40 mil, like I think Arsenal went after him for 40 mil, Villa wants 60, they're not going to get 60. If 60 is the price, then Watkins is off the cards. The only time that Watkins becomes part of the conversation is if it's 40. And probably if Garnacho goes the other way, I think that helps United too. But Watkins is like Mbeumo and Cunha, experienced, Premier League proven, goal straight away. No questions asked. Sesko, probably got a much higher ceiling, could be a long-term striker, but would he work immediately? Would he take a season to settle in? I'd rather United spent less money on Watkins and then spent the rest of the money on midfielders. Well, one midfielder anyway.
Yeah. And I mean, if Garnacho does go the other way, that alleviates a lot of the PSR problems that both clubs, Villa,
the thing I can really see happening. I think Villa did it last year, but like Lloyd Kellyman and who was it? Maatsen, I think, went the other direction as well. They just inflated the prices. I could easily see Villa signing Garnacho for 60 mil and United signing Watkins for 60 mil, and it kind of leveling out, and no money actually really exchanging. But as far as PSR goes, is a big thumbs up.
The Premier League proven aspect as well is key, because Mbeumo, Premier League proven, Cunha, Premier League proven, not quite to the degree some would want them to be. Essentially, you're talking Brentford and Wolves and being, big fishes in medium-sized ponds, let's call it, going into the expectancy pond of Manchester United, which is huge. And lots have failed, but more recently, players coming from overseas have failed more frequently. Big names that have done well, Anthony, for example, is the first name that springs to mind for big money, big prospect that goes back over to Real Betis and does incredibly well. But at United, it's a problem. But Ollie Watkins, I feel like he'd get it. He knows United as an institution, as a football club, and the levels of expectancy, whereas Šeško doesn't. But I still think you're probably going to be in the minority. I reckon more United fans would probably sway towards Šeško.
Yeah, I did ask the community in a live poll today. I think it was like 56-44. Like it was close, but a little bit more leaning towards Šeško. I can understand that, because if it was to work out and he was to, because I'm not saying he's got Haaland potential, but like, when Leipzig and Dortmund were all going through that period of signing these youngsters and coming through, and Haaland was at Salzburg, I think, before he went to Dortmund, and it's sort of the Red Bull model of identifying players like that, and they're very bloody good at it, really. So Sesko may well be that guy in the next 2-3 years. It could be that guy next season. And look, I'm not going to be upset if we sign either of them, I'll be totally honest, because we really are beggars kind of now. So we just need somebody who's going to bring goals to us, whether that's Sesko or whether that's Watkins. I'm fine with either.
Yeah. And I'm thinking of the Gyökeres in Sporting Lisbon under Ruben Amarin, and that probably leans more towards Šeško, that mould of striker, whereas Ollie Watkins is still he's got the out and out number 9 ability, but he's got another ability in his locker where he can drop a little bit deeper, be a bit more creative, hold the ball up a little better, I would suggest, as well as bringing others into play. And that's when you've got Cunha and Mbeumo being brought into the action with Watkins. So if I was a United fan, I'd probably edge towards Watkins because it's the whole getting it factor. But it seems to take a season for United's new signings to understand. And then when they're shocked when they walk in through the door, like, oh, wasn't expecting this to be the case at Manchester United.
It's happened way too many times.
Levels.
It's happened way too many times, man. We've been stung a lot. We are very good at wasting money. That's one thing we're good at.
Yeah. I agree with you. I'd go towards Watkins if I was a United fan, but it's a massive upgrade on Calvert-Lewin because when that news was floating around, I was concerned for the future of United. And
no, you weren't. Don't lie.
No. I mean, I was buzzing, absolutely buzzing at the news, but like concerned about the what the battle's going to be. Like, are you going to be fighting relegation? I mean, because obviously you got safe enough away from it last season to not really have that as a genuine conversation. But you're flirting around there last season, weren't you? And I don't think you will next season. And surely you'd go on to the next level, which brings me on to Ruben Amarin, really. Yep. And what's the expectancy levels for him? Because this is really his first full season. So what is expected of him, considering, one, it's his first full season, and two, it's that thing, it's United. Like, it's a higher level of expectancy wherever you go.
Well, last season couldn't really have gone any worse. Like, the club decided to back Ten Hag after the FA Cup final. I thought that was the right decision, but I was wrong. They sacked him. November comes in. Amarin didn't want the job mid-season. It's like that was now or never, and then had an absolutely dog-awful season. Could he have adapted a bit more? Could he? He probably could have, but he stuck to what he believed, and I hope that serves him well in the good run, in the run of things. But this season coming up, man, Barada, he set out the expectations to finish top 6. That's the aim for United, which is ambitious to say the least, right? I think the squad that we've got right now, even with Cunha and Mbeumo in, am I saying that's going to go into that top 6? It's going to be hard. United will not be anywhere near as bad as we were last season. First game of pre-season. I'll tell you one thing, that this pre-season is all about, and it might sound stupid, but like our club just is so crap at fundamentals and actually holding everybody to that standard. Everybody looks fitter, like genuinely. They've clearly done an off-season fitness plan. It's about buying. It's not about whether he plays 3 at the back, and it's not about like all this. You speak about the tactics and stuff. Just don't be crap. Like if United just do the fundamentals next year, we'll finish nowhere near 15th, 6th. Whether we get there, then you start getting into the conversations about all just 3 at the back, work at the back. Is Ahmad the best wing back? But United are so crap right now. There's no point speaking about that. Just be a good team. Be coherent. Week in, week. You're only playing once a week. Technically, that should mean that the energy levels will be higher. Because if you look at any team over the last few years, Newcastle and Villa are the 2 best examples. And even City, like, you didn't win the Champions League until you got a bit more physical. That was something that you just couldn't do. And Newcastle and Villa, you just outrun. The intensity levels are so high that if you don't match them, they're just going to beat you. As simple as that. And it's just what United have massively lacked. So if there's one thing that Amarin's got to get this season, is that. And then on top of that, you start speaking about tactics, 3 at the back, who's the right player, who isn't the right player.
Yeah. The year before last, City had a motto on their dressing room saying no club has ever won 4 Premier League titles in a row. You're suggesting that Ruben Amarin should be, don't be crap, is the motto. Don't be crap.
I can't wait until you've got no ammo. Like, I lose every argument. Apart from Arsenal fans, we've still got nothing to talk about. Just it's been. I'm glad I feasted as a teenager, man. I was at school, I was winning every argument. My 30s
I was on the receiving end of that when I was a kid.
Yeah, exactly. It's flipped, isn't it? Sod that. Yeah. I want to gloat again. Hurry up.
I know. But I mean, we could be looking at a really early headlines around Amarin, depending on that start, because you've got Arsenal, Chelsea, and City all within the first 6 games,
obviously,
of the season. So it could quickly all be about, is he in his job any longer? Will he last till Christmas? So there's massive pressure at the beginning of the season. And even outside of that, you've got Brentford away, I'm pretty sure. What are the other 2? I can't remember the other 2, but I'm sure you've got some tough fixtures in there outside of the ones that you'd probably be forgiven for losing those games, really, Chelsea, Arsenal and City. But the others you've got to win, haven't you?
I mean, look, even if we had, I don't know, Sunderland, Leeds, Newcastle, no matter what the games are, the pressure would be on United. The pressure always is on United. Everybody is feasted on the corpse of our football club and will continue to do so. And will just twist the knife wherever they can. Internally, there has to be a level of... the thing is, right, you finished 15th last season. There's definitely a section of United's fan base, and I can understand this. They're going to... their patience isn't going to be as probably as much as it should be at the start of a new season if it's just a continuation. If it ends up being games 39 to 45 of last season and it just continues the same, then all sorts of questions are going to be asked. But I don't think that's going to be the case. But of course, we get Arsenal at home, we get we get Chelsea, just to make it harder. That's just the luck of the draw, I suppose.
Yeah. To be honest, I actually think Ruben Amarin's a good manager. I was looking at him before he went to United because there was rumours that City had their eyes on him as a possible candidate to follow Pep. So obviously, from a City fan's perspective, I'm thinking, well, is he good enough? And then you start looking at the numbers and looking at the records that he achieved. Everyone will always throw, well, that's Sporting Lisbon. That's the Portuguese division. Standards are different here. You know, that's always going to be the case. But still, you can only beat what's put in front of you, that old cliche. And he didn't just beat them. He was usurping records over in Sporting Lisbon. I'm pretty sure during his time there, he was the third highest points per match ratio behind Ancelotti and Pep in Europe.
Yeah.
So there's a reason United went for him, but then they go for the man, they get the man, but then they don't give him the tools he needs to become and flourish and be the best version of himself.
No, honestly, it's like, go back to what I was saying about the fundamentals. Like, it's not, if you're looking at specialists in Amarim's system, that's what we signed, 2 number 10s. Like the number 10s and the wing backs are his specialist positions. The rest is just, if you're a good footballer, you can play in this position, you can play in that position. And that's all it is. As I said, like, obviously we needed a big summer. More so to boot out the players who clearly just don't have it in them to be part of this new project, because it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of effort and commitment and energy, and you're going to have to act like a bloody professional, which is just not what so many United players have done for so long. And it's really not just about who he signs. It's about all those players last season just playing like professionals. Like you play for Man United, man. Like you're in the 0.1% of any player who ever wanted to play football, yet they just take it for granted. And Amarim is clearly a very good manager. And one thing that he was sort of renowned for in Sporting, obviously for the success, but in his first summer, it was all about building that team bond together, working on the fitness. And it's the same things you're seeing at United, the same things you're hearing. He keeps repeating it in the press conferences. It's nothing really about who's going to play in the back three or who's going to play as the wing backs. It's just those core fundamentals of building an actual culture, which is, unfortunately, it's been at the core of our football club because the Glazers own us. And when that's the top-down voice, Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos, look, they're not the Glazers. They're actually investing money in, but they've made a lot of business-minded decisions which have pissed off a lot of United fans, a lot of match-going fans. And it feels like United fans are getting ostracised, especially with the new stadium coming along. So they're not perfect. The only ideal situation is when the Glazers are fully gone, but you might think that I'm just sort of banging the same drum again and again and again. Like, the best thing that ever happened to the rest of the Premier League was the Glazers buying us. They have crippled us as a football club and have ripped out every competitive aspect of United to the point where we needed to do a part takeover. And it feels like this summer, finally, we're actually stripping this whole club back to the bare brick. And it's been ugly. 400 redundancies, a lot of horrible decisions and stuff that not every fan would agree with. And it feels like this summer, Rashford's gone to Barca. We're going to start taking compromises just simply to get these players out the door so you can actually build a culture. Because there's no point talking about tactics if you're building that on a culture that's sand and it's just going to disappear as soon as it gets difficult, which United players have been very good at.
Yeah, I think Rashford's an interesting one because he's one of your own, isn't he? And he comes across, or has at least started to come across in the end of his career at United, which is obviously still technically a United player, but once it's finished, he's come across as a bad egg. and you'd be surprised to see. I'm just thinking of the Fergie days. That would just never happen especially one that comes through the academy. And I think Fergie in particular, he opened the door to the Glazers. Well, he didn't, but he opened the door to them somewhat from the outside looking in, looking like they're doing all right, actually, the Glazers. They're not doing too bad because they're still winning silverware. You're still spending money. And then obviously Fergie went and then just followed a catalogue of bad decisions from top to bottom that is just slowly but surely rotted away at the club's infrastructure and model that's been the nucleus to your success for decades, hasn't it? So unbelievable, really, to win. Very enjoyable from a.
I'm sure it has been.
yeah. But no, I think that United do have a possible outlook to feel somewhat positive next season, because to make you feel a little bit better, I always feel like you're capable of winning a trophy, even in your worst moments. United beat us in the FA Cup final, albeit we were a bit drunk, but you beat us, and you beat us fair and square, and it was quite a competent 2-1 win, wasn't it, in the end? And I mean, that you're having that in your locker with an Eric Ten Hag season that was before it, where you were getting 4 put past you by Brentford. And, last season, I felt like you were going to do it again. You got to the final against Spurs and you were a 1-0 on the wrong end of a 1-0 defeat. But that almost became another season where how have you won a trophy? When you've had the season that you've had. So I do think United still have a way about them to just claw themselves into a point of victory and actually picking up a piece of silverware. But do you think Ineos are the long-term answers? And it's now Glinios. Is that what you call them now? Glazers and Ineos.
I don't know who started that, but I want to slap them upside the head, man. That is, it's so goddamn childish. And just the single biggest differentiator, the Glazers have never put one single penny of their own money into the club, ever. It's all been on a loan, and anything that's gone into the club and spent has all been nothing that they've invested. And Ratcliffe's put 270 million of his own money straight in. So anybody who tries to downplay how crap how crap Glazers have been in the last 20 years by trying to say that Ineos are the exact same, it's such an over-exaggeration and hyperbole that you're really you're kind of undermining the damage that the Glazers have actually done to this club. In terms of whether they can be the right long-term owners, well, you've got Project 150. Will we win the title in 2028? That's the aim. That's the ambition. This whole new stadium, timing-wise, is a madness, considering it's coming at the same time as we're making 400 people redundant. By the way, which was needed. I don't know whether it was needed at that level, but we had the biggest workforce and it was bloated. And there were people at United that admitted that, sometimes some people take the piss. Not everyone did, though, but good people lost their jobs. But at the same time, some of those cuts were needed. And that's effectively what it feels like, is it playing out in real time, is Ineos are having to clean up a lot of the mess that the Glazers left behind and are taking a lot of the bullets for them. But at the same time, Ineos are also making their own mistakes, and they've made quite a lot of them. At least not Dan Ashworth, for example, which was a whole absolute catastrophe.
5 months.
No, that was all from Dave Brailsford. Wrong person, wrong job, crap, made a mistake, out you go. After waiting 3 months to bloody get him because of gardening leave. But anybody that can get rid of the Glazers is better than the Glazers. And I suppose what we're going to see now, because last season was, in terms of judging Ineos, it was all ugly, and we were finishing 15th. So, but this season, does it pay off that Ruben Amarin was kept in? Does it pay off this summer? Did we have the summer that we need to? They have to get rid of Garnacho and Sancho and Anthony. We need a midfielder. We need a striker. Ideally, get a goalkeeper as well. Can that then lead to the results next season? Because as soon as the football starts improving, you'll see a lot more, not sympathy for Ineos, but a lot less scorn towards them, because people won't need somewhere to point the finger, because instead, you're winning football games.
Yeah. So do you think that the Ineos arrival has shielded the Glazers somewhat? And if it wasn't Ineos coming in, would you be happy with the Qatar ownership model that was supposed to come in as an alternative? Because the few years before, it was meant to be a toss-up between the two. and it was almost going to be a Qatari ownership, which would be quite similar to the sort of money you're seeing pumped into Newcastle, the money that's been pumped into City. And as a result, I mean, obviously Newcastle and any club from that point on, from a Newcastle position, have had PSR and financial rules put in their way as obstacles to prevent them from becoming the success. But United are already established. City had already done it before the rules effectively. So we were able to beat the trend of these financial rules, whereas Newcastle are just behind in the times. United wouldn't have had that problem. So would you have preferred a Qatari model ship ahead of the Ineos? Because I know you seem quite pro Ineos just because it's not the Glazers, but would Qatari be better?
No, I tried to sit on the fence. I tried to see both sides of it, and I did plenty. I've spoke to different people, looked at the whole way through, but fundamentally, I never wanted United to have anything to do with state ownership. It's just we didn't need to. We don't need to. We are Manchester United, and we are already established. We don't need a sugar daddy in the same way that City needed a sugar daddy, or Chelsea. Chelsea as well. I hate Chelsea. Newcastle, all of them. We didn't need that. And I hate what City did to the Premier League so much that there's a fundamental part of me that is just so against state ownership that I would hate to have seen United effectively selling the true soul of our football club to do what others have done. We don't need to do that. We're still a bloody top 3 club in the world, and we haven't won the league since 2013. City are still a way, way, way smaller club than us. And we haven't won the title in 12 years or the Champions League since 2008. We don't need that influx. We just need to be able to spend our own goddamn money properly because we've wasted $1 billion. If we'd spent our money on the transfers better in the last 10 years, we wouldn't be in this position. But the squad building has been horrendous because Ed Woodward, the Glazers, and the people that have been in charge. And it's, look, I'm not going to sit here and shout that I'm pro Ineos. But I was definitely anti-Qatar. And it's nothing that people come at me and say, oh, you're being racist, being xenophobic. And I'm just like, mate, why are you trying to take the conversation down a road? It doesn't exist. The reason I don't like it is because of what state ownership, I think, has done to the Premier League and to football in general. And I've included City in that and Newcastle, Abramovich with Chelsea. He had all the money that came across from, the Soviet Union collapsing. All of a sudden, he doesn't care about profit. He just wants to spend, and just have a good time. And Chelsea were the beneficiaries. And PSG, screw them all. Hate them all.
Yeah, really.
Don't get on the fence, Hammer.
No, there's strong feelings. Obviously, as a City fan, I completely disagree. But
that's fine.
Yeah, no. I think we have. One thing I will say, we haven't had the soul of our club ripped out at all. I think the owners have been incredibly respectful of everything that's City. They returned our badge back to what it was. We had a badge that I believe the Golden Eagle with the 3 meaningless decorative stars that meant absolutely nothing. Pride in Battle was a nice little message, and it was very nice, but it meant nothing. But the owners have returned Manchester City back to what we used to be prior to Taskin Shinawatra and any other model that saw us get relegated under the likes of Alan Ball and things like that. So we've had a lot of joy while being respectful of our heritage. So I think it can be done, but I, as a very biased Manchester City fan, think we've been blessed because I'm looking at the ownership model at Newcastle. I don't think they're being quite as cutthroat, and there's hints of the kit change, a little bit of green Saudi Arabian flag being thrown into certain kit designs and things like that, where it's like, yeah, hang on, that's not us. You got to stick to your guns and be who we are. But outside of ownership models and what would be a success for Manchester United, off the pitch as well, sticking with off the pitch, you made an amazing video and I watched it the other day about off the pitch pressure from previous legend. And I loved it, by the way. It's brilliant. Even as a City fan, I loved watching it. Great editing, really, really good. And I agreed with what you said. The words of Gary Neville, the words of Roy Keane, they are like daggers now, aren't they, in United as an institution? And obviously you've got an issue now where Gary Neville's being interviewed by, he's hosting the interview with Ratcliffe and getting in bed with him. So he's got conflicted interests there because he once upon a time was the man who was very much like anti-Glazers. We've got to be a United supporting group, one of the fans effectively, Gary Neville. And now because of his interests in United and the new stadium's development, he's got a skewed opinion on it where he's slightly protective of Ratcliffe, and that skews obviously the neutral United fans who's just there to support the club and love the club, and the opinion of Gary Neville. But Roy Keane, he doesn't pull his punches. Even Wayne Rooney, Paul Scholes on TNT, they do not pull their punches when insulting and criticising. Let's say it's insulting is one word you could use for the players and the standards that they set in the 90s compared to what the players of today are now setting. So tell anyone who's not seen that video, first of all, go and watch it if you haven't, and definitely do that. But tell us what you think about that, because I thought it was interesting.
Like, it's former players have a lot of power in their voice when it comes to Manchester United. Like you just mentioned Neville, you can mention Scholes, you can mention Keane, all of them. It's the exact same thing. They hate what's going on at United just as much as I do. And in their mind, they're thinking of all the work that they put in, all the hard yards and all the hard graft and all the commitment they had to making United great again. And then you've got all these chances coming along and just effectively ripping it up. Like, they're a whole career's worth of work from Gary Neville. Most of the career's work for Roy Keane. Same with Scholes, same with all of them. And these players are just, they don't give a toss. So I think it comes from the right place. But because of the power of the media these days and the power of narratives and social media in particular as well, and a clip can go a lot further than the situation where it was said, and it can reach a lot more and it can influence a lot more people. And I don't know whether it's they don't understand that, because I think they do. I mean, he's got the overlap. He's got his own podcast business. Gary Neville's a businessman now rather than a former professional footballer. That's the transition that's happened. He started off at Sky and he was a United fan, and it was actually quite fun. You'd all hear him on commentary, same with Jamie Carragher, but it kind of he bullied it out of himself because he wanted to be partisan, so he appealed to more people, and at the same time, unfortunately, then appealed to United fans less. You can't have both at the same time. You can't appeal directly to the core of United fans and then be loved universally by all other fans. It's a very hard position to be in. So he's kind of one or the other, and he's gone for the other because it was better for his sort of interests. I still got a lot of respect for what Gary Neville's got to say, but he's now working directly with the club on the new stadium project. He's got all of his businesses. He part owns Hotel Football. So yeah, there are a lot of skewed interests, I think it would be fair to say, with Gary Neville. And I think they know what they're doing. Roy Keane's just a caricature of himself, man. Like, he knows what he's doing. He goes home, he's probably sound, he's relaxed, he's chill. But he goes on there and he goes, I'm just going to be Roy Keane. And like, the Roy Keane comes back out. And everyone loves it and enjoys it. Unfortunately, because United are so crap, it's always him having a go at United. But I love Roy. Roy Keane is the single best captain this club has ever had. And I don't think that will ever change. So again, I think it comes from the right place. But people sometimes say, oh, imagine like getting Roy Keane in that dressing room. I'm like, if you've got Roy Keane in that dressing room, you'd be going HR within like 2 minutes.
Black eyes.
It'd be sacked within like 6 weeks. Like, you get zero chance it would work. But for Roy Keane, he remembers what it was like in the changing room when he was a player, not now. And it's different. It wouldn't work. What worked then wouldn't work now. I'm pretty convinced that Fergie wouldn't work right now as a manager because he hated social media so much. Like, we didn't have a Twitter account as a football club until Fergie retired. And then we got one. He was always about keeping it all in-house. And he'd hate the powers that players have as brands now and how much more difficult that is to control in a dressing room environment. And yeah, I think Keane is a bit outdated in how he looks at dressing rooms. And it's just especially prevalent when it's Manchester United and just how crap we have been. It's just the two things combined to make an atomic bomb every time he goes on Sky Sports.
I agree with what you said, but do you agree with Roy Keane in terms of like being outdated? I know he is. I think you're right. I think players are soft. I think society on a whole, we could go down a whole rabbit hole here.
Yeah,
but the society on the whole is soft, and players and player welfare and player well-being is obviously important. Human being welfare is also important, but it's a case of criticizing within reason and saying you need to pull your act up, mate. Pull your finger out, mate. Sort your act out. That type of attitude and criticizing. Not everyone has to have an arm around the shoulder, and there is still a bit of that going on. I mean, not everyone's Neil Warnock screaming and neffing and jeffing in the dressing room, but I feel like a little bit of that here and there doesn't go amiss.
Yeah, you need the balance.
Should be part of it.
Yeah, you need the balance. And I think Ruben Amarim's got that balance. Obviously, after I think what game was it? Was it Fulham? I can't remember what game it was. It was at Old Trafford. The TV incident, goes in there, just throws something at the TV, smashes the TV, goes into the press conference after, because typically he always calms down. He doesn't speak to his players before he went in there, but he lost his head. He lost his cool. So he can lose it, and he does lose it. But players are, would I use the phrase players are softer? I don't know what it is. Like, players are worth so much more. Money is so much more. The visibility is so much more that there's more, I would say there's more outward pressure on being a Premier League player now than there was 10, 15 years ago. You could have been like a great Premier League player. You could probably just disappear and go home. If you wanted to, you could. I don't really think they can do that anymore now, because instead of not reading a newspaper, you have to put your phone down. And if you don't look at it, 12 of your friends on WhatsApp are going to send it to you anyway. So you can't really escape from the eyes of the billions watching in a way that you could in the past. And I don't think everyone can cope with that. I wouldn't like it. Well, I suppose you like it to a certain degree. You can make your brand as big as it is, but sometimes it can become too big and take over. So society has changed. Roy Keane would not work now. Ruben Amarin, for me, strikes me as the best balance that we've had. Erik ten Hag was too much of a disciplinarian. That's why I was happy when he came in. I was like, yeah, we need that discipline in. Yeah, good. But he went too far down one side. Whereas Ruben is known, and anybody who's coached by him at Sporting all speak about how good his man management is. And he does have that harder side, but he is somebody that you can get behind as a general and then follow him into war. That's what we need. That's what United haven't had. And even if we did have it in the first season of Ten Hag, then it just disappears in the second.
Yeah. I think you're right. And I think not all players should be tarnished with the same brush that they're soft. But I think there's a higher percentage, there's a bigger ratio of softer players that they're more entitled, they're protected more, they're given more, they're told at a very young age that what do you want? What would you like, sir? Would you like a new car? And would you need a place to live? I can sort your family out. I can hook you up with any appointments that you need, and just have a personal servants now, personal chefs, and that level of protection and mollycoddling for players is a reason why that some of them may grow to be, especially when it's introduced to them at such a young age, at being 18 years old and not being taught the basics of life, which Fergie was he's so big on that, wasn't he? He was so insistent on the players must look after themselves. He want all of his players to settle down, find a girlfriend or a wife, try and have kids if you want to, and become a family man, and teach them the basic responsibilities of everyday life. Enjoy your money. You're going to get plenty of that, but you don't need to be entitled. And I think that attitude can be taken onto the pitch. And I do feel like United over the years have had that. And let's not pretend my club doesn't do it, because I know full well I've just done a video today where I was talking about when Pep did an interview talking about the player care department. There is a department that does exactly what I just said for Manchester City players. So it's not just a United thing. All Premier League clubs do that now. But it's about having a manager in place that can remind them of, without going too far, like you just said with Erik ten Hag and Jose Mourinho, I think went too far with it at times by today's standards. So I agree. And I think it's an interesting one to see how Ruben Amarim is going to be able to strike that balance between what's needed in today's society and what a little sample of yesteryear, But yeah, prediction time now, mate.
Oh, no.
First of all, let's talk about. I know you weren't too interested in who you wanted to see being signed, and you think just going back to fundamentals. Let's say you sign one of Šeško or Watkins. Anywhere else? Because I'm interested in the Bruno Fernandes position ultimately, because obviously I think you've got enough midfielders, so I don't think you need more of them. I want to know where he's going to play, because I think he could play as a false nine. And if Mbeumo and Cunha are playing and you sign Watkins or Šeško, that's your front three sorted effectively. And I would assume Mbeumo and Cunha, considering the prices you've paid, are going to be a frequent starter. So therefore, Bruno Fernandes is going to play in midfield. One, who's his partner going to be? And two, can you trust him to do the what is known as the defensive duties that I think he gets a lot of criticism for, and switching off a little bit, letting an attacking midfielder drift in behind him in the pockets?
Yeah.
Can he be trusted, Bruno, in that role?
I actually don't know. If you were to ask me to predict, I don't know where Bruno's going to play this season. I think on paper, going into it, I expected him to play as the right-sided central midfielder alongside somebody else, which I don't think is Kobbie Mainoo. I actually think I think you're just looking at a succession plan at United. I really could see next summer, Man United potentially moving Bruno on and Kobbie stepping into the role that Bruno has now as that number 8 box to box. Like, Kobbie's come into this preseason looking physically different. He's been working on his agility. He's been working on that sort of side of his game, the explosive pace from the first few yards, because he's very good on the ball. You already know the qualities of Kobbie. But he needs to develop himself in certain other aspects. And Amarin's been working on him with that as well. I think if you're going to look at anybody who's going to play as a number 9, it's probably going to be Cunha. I think you'd then see him play as a number 9 with Bruno and Mbeumo behind him, rather than Bruno playing further forward. But I think this is what top teams have. It's just that we're not a top team. We're crap. Top teams have two great players in every position, right? That's what top teams have. Because but the thing is, we don't have any European football next year. So why do we need 2 top players in every position? So I understand that bit. I don't see Bruno, Cunha and Mbeumo starting every single game all season for United. I think there might be some games where one comes in, one comes out, plays 45 minutes. I don't know exactly how it's going to happen. But on paper, I thought I was going into this season with Bruno as one of the 2 central midfielders. But he's played further forward against West Ham in the preseason, probably because Mbeumo's not fit enough to start yet. So that's an easier one. But Bruno scored 2 goals. Bruno is significantly better when he's closer to the opposition goal. His weaknesses come in his own half. When he's a bit reckless with possession, he's just a little bit reckless. But being reckless in the opposition's half is how you create chances. Being reckless in your own half is how you shoot yourself in the foot. And I don't really think you can trust Bruno across the course of the whole season there. So that's why we need a central midfield signing, because as much as I love Kobbie and I love Bruno, those 2 together is not a complementary partnership. It's
so you do think you need a signing, yeah?
Yeah, 100% we need a signing.
Not Ugarte, not Casemiro to play there.
This is the issue is that we've got, if you were to take the best elements of Kobbie's game and the best elements of Ugarte's game and you combine them into one midfielder, you'd have the perfect partner for Bruno. But Ugarte's great out of possession, Kobbie's great in possession. And on the flip, Ugarte's he can't receive the ball from his centre-backs. Kobbie isn't really good out of possession. Ugarte's an absolute demon out of possession, and he will win the ball back so often. You need someone who can do both. I don't know whether United can afford that this summer, because it's like Carlos Baleba at Brighton's going to be your gold standard. Baleba and Caicedo, those physical Premier League monsters, can win the ball, but also pretty damn good with it at their feet as well. We've got midfielders who have half of the game right now. So if Kobbie needs to develop, he needs to develop out of possession as an athlete to be able to really cover ground and win the ball back. If Ugarte has to develop, he's got to develop his quality on the ball, receiving it from centre-backs. If either of those 2 do that, maybe we don't need one. And if either of those 2 are going to develop in that, it's probably going to be Kobbie more than Ugarte, because he's not old, but he's a little bit more established.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm looking forward to your left back position, your left wing back rather, as well, because you've brought in Diogo Leon as well. And considering you brought in Patrick Dorgu, I'm curious to why you brought in Diogo Leon. I know he said before pre-season that he's going to kill it. He's going to rip it up or something along those lines. A quote that was oozed confidence, which has got to be pleasing from a United fan point of view. But question marks over why you brought in another left wing back. But does that just lean into what you just said? Every top club needs 2 positions being fought for by 2 decent players.
That's totally fine, man. Dorgu is 20 and Diogo Leon's just turned 18. So he's going to be totally fine. He's going to be totally fine seeing this whole season as, right, this is me developing. I don't have to play every week, but this is me I've moved from Paraguay to Manchester. Oh my God, new country, new club, new language, new everything. He's going to be settling in. A bit like Sekou Kone last season. It's going to be interesting to see what they both do, because they're both supreme athletes. United next season are not going to be pushovers like that. We just bent over in so many games, man. And like, even if we played well for 45 minutes, we didn't have the fitness to do it for 90. So we ended up collapsing towards the end of games. I'm fine with that. Dorgu and Leon are really exciting. And Luke Shaw, don't play, please. We need to sell him, man. My God. but no one wants to buy him because no one's going to invest in him because of his injuries. And Malacia, I feel sorry for the lad. I think he was actually a pretty decent signing when we got him, but he's just had 2 years of injury nightmares, and he's going to be moved on. So it should just be those two out, and Diego Leon and Patrick Dorgu in.
I mean, Ahmad's got the other side nailed down, hasn't he, really? I mean, arguably your best player.
Mate, Ahmad,
last season at least.
There's a lot of United fans who have sort of, Ahmad's wasted at right wing back. Oh my God, Amarim's not getting the best out of him, etc. When Amarim's system's working properly, the wing backs are wingers. The wing backs are right on the edge of the box. They're always in space. He's not going to operate as a wing back. He's not going to be. Of course, he's going to be defending the back post. There's going to be weaknesses to his game, but he scored a hat trick against Southampton from wing back last year. He scored most of his goals from wing back. I don't know how he scored. I don't know where he was playing against you when he scored that winner.
It came from the left. I remember it. Yeah, I remember it.
It was Lisandro. I think it was Lisandro with a ball over the top, so it was on the left. But Ahmad at right wing back will be in my opinion, he'll be permanently the free man. Defenders will be marking Mbeumo and marking everyone down there, but they can't mark a wing back that's overlapping. There's just not enough bodies. So I think he'll always be the extra man, and I love it. Like down the right hand side, Mbeumo and Ahmad. That's some upgrade for United.
You sound excited. You sound excited, right?
It can't be any worse than last season. It can't be any worse.
That's it. The only way is that, well, be careful, man. You never know. There is plenty of room to go down. City fans thought, well, back in the 90s, we thought, we're not going down. We're not going down. Before you know it, we're in 2 divisions down. But yeah, I don't think you're going to fall that far. But where are you going to finish next season then? Put your predictions on the table. And it's hard to predict now, isn't it? But
I mean, we haven't even completed the window yet. But
that's the thing, isn't it? That makes a big difference. So.
If United get done what they need to do, and that means probably selling 3 or 4 more players and realistically signing another 2 or 3, then the ambition is 6th. That's the club's ambition. Do I think they're going to make it? I hope so. So I'm going to go 6th. That's in an ideal world. That's where United finish. But then there's no Champions League football next year, unless. Is there any way I know there was 5 last year. Is there any way it goes up down to 6? Or is it just? I think it only stops at 5, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah,
this season it stops at 5. Yeah, because I can't remember the reasons why, but it changes every year, doesn't it? In terms of and there's the UEFA coefficiency ranking as well comes into it, and then there's the FIFA Club World Cup played a part as well.
So realistically, internally, United will be wanting to get a Champions League spot somehow. I don't think they're going to be able to, but that's going to be the internal. They won't say that externally, but internally they're going to be aiming for that. I'm going to go for 6th. Yeah. If that's a big if here, by the way. We need a lot more in the next. We've got 5 weeks left. There's a lot more that United need to get right.
Trophy?
Nah, no trophies next year.
No,
don't care about it. I do not give a toss. No offense to the League Cup or the FA Cup, but I don't care. Next season, I just want United to be competent. I want every single week to play like we did the week before and go, well, actually, that's like 2% better. The week after, same level of performance. No drop off. No randomly. United last season, well, we basically played 2 out of 10 every week, but sometimes we turn up and the next week we disappear and you're like, you just like picking and choosing what games you fancy turning up. That's what it felt like as fans.
It's felt like that before Ruben Amarin, to be fair.
Yeah, it's not a Ruben problem. It's a club problem. That's what I mean about the culture.
Absolutely, the consistency has never been there since Fergie left. Really, has it?
Just don't be crap. That's it. Get the banner up. Just don't be crap.
That's it. They put it on the dressing room. Don't be crap. Like
you said, that's motivating. That's really motivating.
Do not be crap. Yeah. Brilliant. Well, Sam, thanks very much for joining us, mate. Really appreciate it. Maybe we'll get your opinion in January, see how things have changed if the January transfer market.
Depends how it's gone. I might be unavailable in January.
You've lost to Arsenal, you've lost to City, you've lost to Chelsea. Ruben Amarim's been sacked, and we'll have a chat. No, I don't think it'll get that bad, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, fingers crossed it won't get that bad, but I appreciate it, mate.
Brilliant. Thanks for joining, mate. I really appreciate it. Make sure you get your comments in below. If you've got any comments for Sam or any questions for Sam as well, fire them in the comment sections. Let us know your thoughts. Like and subscribe to Transfer News Live. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.